Hello and welcome to the AAU TV Mid-Week News, coming to you from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities in Accra, Ghana. My name is Naomi Darko, and with me in the studio are
Jemima Deladem Dotsey.
And my name is Agyemang Okyere.
In our headlines for today on higher education, university need policies for knowledge management. Afrocentric Sustainabilty Index mooted to measure SDGs.
And in our health news, air pollution exposure linked to poor academics in childhood. And also, exercise may boost kids' vocabulary growth.
In our tech news, Ghanaian company provides solar power transportation service in Ghana. Stay with us as we bring you more news on higher education, tech, and health news. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Rock at home, stay at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap under running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
Welcome back. In our first story, formulating a policy for knowledge management and setting up an institutional repository, a research and publication office and departmental committee to support researchers are some of the measures required to boost knowledge management capability in African higher education institutions. Senior IT officer at the Association of African Universities, Abednego Quality, during the AAU's 15th General Conference on the theme, The Future of African Higher Education, earlier in July, presented a peculiar paper titled Knowledge Banks as a Vehicle for Development and the Role of Higher Education Institutions in Africa. At the virtual conference that convened research academics and higher education stakeholders across the African continent, he implored leaders of the various member universities of the AAU to formulate a policy for knowledge management and setting up of an institutional repository, a research and publication office, and departmental committee to support researchers as a measure required to boost knowledge management capability in African higher education institutions. He said the measures will help higher education and research institutions to achieve the level of data collection and knowledge management as supported by the African Union in the Continental Education Strategy for African 2016-2025 CESA, aimed at supporting African advancement. Quality, in his presentation, outlined a number of challenges hampering the inability of African higher education institutions to retain knowledge, which affects their visibility and status as research institutions. He expressed that the lack of coordination between knowledge creators, knowledge managers, and higher education institutions management hampered technology transfer, and along with the lack of mandates from the institutions, has created a disjoint between knowledge managers and creators. Other challenges included the lack of policies at most higher education institutions to manage research processes despite requiring faculty to conduct research and publish their findings. According to Abednego, knowledge managers also did not have the capacity or mandate to do their work. This hindered the ability of research directors to guide processes, to support policy development, create awareness, provide training and advisory or help desk services, and develop data or knowledge repositories, along with developing data research management plans to manage the knowledge. That's an interesting one coming in from the AAU. From the story, Mr. Quality, who is a senior IT officer here at the AAU, said the challenges include the inability of higher education institutions to retain knowledge, which affects their visibility and status as research institutions, and lack of coordination between knowledge creators. What do you make of this? How are these challenges affecting our policies for knowledge management, Agyemang?
Yeah, Naomi, allow me to expound on the great work that has been done by the senior IT officer here at the AAU, Mr. Abednego Quality, right from 2013, where he used to work at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He was also in charge of knowledge management, and you know he has seen a trajectory, and he developed that institution repository for the KNUST today. What is the essence of such a repository in the first place? Now, researchers have the liberty to research on anything they want to research on and publish anywhere they want to publish. But the only request here is that when you publish, wherever you go, keep a copy of it somewhere with the organization.
Yes.
The question is, where do we put it? We will call it the institutional repository. That is where every research done by any researcher in the institution has a copy on that platform. Why do we need that platform? Now, we have so many people across the world and are doing research each and every day, and they need sites to cite from. You are publishing with these high impact journals across the world, fine, but we cannot even cite where you came from. Some people can cite you, for example, let's say you publish in your own institution's repository. When they cite you, it goes to the university's credit. That is why the visibility is. So, for example, institutions like KNUST, who have had a good track record so far in terms of maintaining and upgrading their institutional repository, have their lecturers or researchers being cited in the name of the university. That makes KNUST also, that university, perhaps known globally, because when I cite you not for the journal across the world, for the university in which I got the information from. So why wouldn't we want to leverage on this capacity and grow our visibility? That is the point he's trying to make over here.
That's a good point right there. Jemima?
You know, I must commend Mr. Quality for a good work done in highlighting the importance of knowledge management in our higher education system. But, you know, to give our viewers a great understanding of our discussion, I'll say knowledge management here looks at the efficient handling of our information and resources in our higher education sectors. But it is so sad that you visit our higher education institutions here in Africa and you see research papers written away just because knowledge managers, which we mostly call the librarians, do not have requisite resources. And it's even sad that these researchers do not even follow up on where their research is or what it is doing, how it is impacting the society. Nothing like that is being done. So at the end of the day, it looks like it's a no one's affair. The one who created the knowledge or the research has got their qualification and is gone. And the librarian, the knowledge manager, also does not have the resources to also help maintain, or let me say put in place these research for people to access. So I think a carefully designed and well-monitored technological knowledge management system like the Knowledge Bank is the way forward to address these challenges. For instance, with such a system, creators are able to actually upload their resources on these platforms and even are able to access other people's resources so to help them with what they are also doing. So I think that is the way forward.
Notwithstanding Jemima's point, I want to touch on the issue of mandate here. Somebody will say, so what should we do? One of the challenges that Mr. Abednego Quality mentioned was the fact that there was a lack of coordination between the knowledge creator and then the manager. The creators, who are the researchers on the campuses, and then the managers, who are the librarians, so to say, there is no policy, or nobody owes each other responsibility, or the researcher does not owe the manager any responsibility to give him a copy or her a copy of their work to be uploaded on the repository, because there's no policy from central university management that says that every research that is done in this institution should have a copy sent to the repository so that we can retain, preserve, and also expand on our visibility. No policy. So the researcher will do the work, will publish at a very high impact journal across the continent, and the university where it hailed from has not even got a reference to it, and we are losing out on our credibility. What do we gain? So I think we should take a conscious effort where university vice chancellors, top leaders in universities, should ensure that to give yourself that visibility, that is your own benefit, create that policy, and then the policy bind every researcher on your institution, that whenever there's a research published, there should be a copy cited to the repository. So the university would be the one to cite it, to be cited whenever somebody uses that work for their reference.
You know, it's quite interesting because I was having this conversation just recently with a colleague, and I was wondering where exactly our students' research, like in particular, where do our students' researchers go to?
Exactly.
Because you only provide just soft hard copies to your supervisor and whoever is in charge of collecting your research papers, and I'm like, where exactly do they go to?
Sure.
So I think when they input all of these measures which you have stated, it would help the institution's visibility, and of course promote more research papers. Now, according to Dr. Makuku, effective and good equality teaching and learning, as well as pedagogy, mentoring and coaching using the generated knowledge and new skills result in effective knowledge transfer that yields behavior change for the better. Agyemang, what do you make of this statement?
I think that is a very profound statement made by the quality assurance specialist here at the AAU,
Right.
Dr. Makuku. And let me break it down so people can appreciate what she said. Now, knowledge is needed because if you keep and preserve knowledge appropriately, you will still go back to it and work with it.
Definitely.
Now, Africa has been tend to, I think we have not done well to keep our research and own it for ourselves. Today, everybody will want to publish in a high impact journal out there because they are being paid to do so, or you perish. There's that popular saying on campus, you perish, you publish or you perish. So people would want to publish something, not because of its effectiveness or impact, but because the more you publish, the more your name is enlisted for promotion.
Yeah.
But to what Doc is saying, we are looking for impactful knowledge that we can use to develop our ways as an university or institution. And if you don't even keep the knowledge, you don't even keep it, how then do you look forward to even refer to that? I will cite to countries like Egypt, who have been very attractive when it comes to research and development, because they have been able to keep all their researchers. And therefore, they have grown from just having institutional repositories to even a national repository, whereby every institution, every university in Egypt has or uploads their work to a national repository where you can get national researchers over there. Why was such a country not developed? Because they have all the works to work with and to move with. And if we don't do the same in West Africa or the entire Africa, or even in Ghana or perhaps other country in Africa, how then can you say you have knowledge to work with? Where is it? Do you even keep it? We can't even find it. You will lose it.
So I would also side with Dr. Makuku, and I think that is a strong point coming from her, because when our educational system is functioning well as it should be, then we won't have any issues regarding our knowledge management. And this is because when knowledge is created or generated by these researchers or students or lecturers, we will not, undervalue our research. It will rather be put to use, because research is actually done to help solve a problem in the society. So this alone, as in it being put to use alone, is a factor or a motivational factor to anyone who is also yet to do a research or has a research coming up, because the person will have it at the back of their mind that it won't actually go waste. My research is actually going to solve a problem in the society. And I think I side with her because it's a good point right there.
Moving on to our next story, an Afrocentric Development and Sustainability Index to measure the contribution of African universities towards the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals has been mooted. Universities could create an index by including indicators that are meaningful within the African context. The African Union's Agenda 2063, a homegrown participatory vision and call to action towards an African renaissance, socio-economic development and sustainability could guide universities as they develop an index to focus on SDGs that are in line with this continental agenda. This is the suggestion of Dr. Beatrice Njenga, the former head of the African Union's Education Division, during the discussion on the SDGs early in July at the Association of African Universities General Conference. Dr. Njenga said the SDGs mention higher education, but do not address the sector's role in advancing SDGs sufficiently. According to her, it took intense lobbying by the African higher education community and the AU to get higher education's role in the SDGs included. For this reason, Agenda 2063 should be the operational framework for African universities, she added. Moreover, Dr. Njenga added that the first responsibility of African universities is to know and own the African policy frameworks. Indeed, Dr. Njenga affirmed that the AAU is the lead implementing agency for the AU in higher education and is in charge of the Continental Education Strategy for Africa SESA thematic cluster on higher education. She further added that since most of our research in Africa is in our universities, the AAU may do well to coordinate key Pan-African and regional bodies towards strengthening this linkage between higher education and research on one hand and the clearly articulated regional and continental policy frameworks and establishing impact evaluation criteria against which we can measure and rank, if you like, our performances as a higher education community. Higher education therefore has a pivotal role to play in the implementation of all major national, continental and global development goals such. That's a very commendable story. Dr. Beatrice Njenga emphasized that African universities should not just participate in the global research, but ensure relevance and potential impact at home in Africa to promote SDGs. How will these promote the SDGs, Agyemang?
You know, there's a very, very serious issue with what Dr. Beatrice Njenga mentioned over there, and it's something that, whether we like it or not, African higher education institutions must take keen attention to and note and ensure that they really alleviate themselves off that shackle and do the right thing. This is the issue. We are actually working hard for global recognition. And I know that every university in Africa wishes to attain that global recognition. I mean, it's everybody's dream to be noted and be ranked in all the the bigger institutional rankings like the Times Higher Education rankings all over the world. It's everybody's dream. And to do that, you need to really keen all your activities to solving SDGs. For example, goal number 3, good health and well-being. For every medical institution in Africa, you doing research and ensure that you implement your findings to solve a problem in the SDG. Dr. Njenga is saying that it's a good thing to do that, but you forget that the purpose of what you are doing is to attain that global recognition and get your accolades from international universities. But have you been able to tailor the findings to your own environment, your community, in where you are hailing from, to see if you can also solve a problem with that finding? Because you have done the paper to gain the global recognition that our University of Ghana, UPSA, KNUST, and whatsoever you, other universities in Africa have done this. Makerere, you have done that. But have you been able to impact the findings, recommendations, and the solution to your environment? Dr. Beatrice Njenga is saying that if we haven't done that, then we should really quickly go and then see to it that we make impact locally. Because that one will also go a long way to send your story globally. But when we try and sell ourselves globally at first, then locally we will lose. So as much as the SDGs are very important, we also have the African Agenda 2063, which is also African-centered. Which university in Africa can boast that we are aligning our purpose to the aspirations of the Agenda 2063? Have we ever heard that? But we know of the SDGs becoming a core part of every university's running, that to be relevant globally, you need to work on the SDGs. But to be relevant locally, you need to pay attention to the agenda. So Dr. Beatrice is saying that if you really want to be relevant locally, then inculcate the agenda and the SDGs together. Do it together. Do the SDG for global recognition and also work on achieving the aspiration of the agenda for local recognition as well, which also is the most important thing we have to look at.
You know, I would say our SDGs are made up of problems we are looking to address. And actionable research is an important tool in solving problems. I know the two go hand in hand. And then I like the statement made by Fayomi in his research in attaining sustainable development goals. And he stated that research will forever be a very important ingredient of development, and its significance will forever remain relevant for any system that you want to grow. So I think this is actually a wake-up call for stakeholders to make sure that relevant literature are put into action, but not to just lie down in the libraries for no use. For instance, when you look at the SDG Goal 6, which talks about focusing on clean water and sanitation, I think this is a good one, and I believe several research has been done on it. And right now, even the research done by Lariatu Suleiman may not even have reached an implementation stage. So I think all research that are done should not just lie in the library, but they should be put to good use, because great research has been done by great people.
Yeah. Okay. Allow me to just, notwithstanding your main point, with regards to the SDG, goal number 6 refers to clean water sanitation. Goal number 7 refers to the use of clean energy, which is renewable. Now, universities in Africa, I know several of these universities have tried, written papers, done researches, brought findings on these SDGs, have gotten the global accolade, but within the African setting, we are, what's the percentage of usage of renewable energy? Or what's the percentage of our work done on climate change locally? But these papers have been written, presented, and applauded. Is that not the issue Doc is talking about here? We are just leaving the most important things down and just gaining the global recognition, which is it's important. At least you need that for your rankings. But are you making an impact? You are not making an impact. So think about the impact first. I would prefer that universities in Africa focus fully on how to impact the African continent with their findings, work with the agenda 2063.
Right.
Gathered by the SDGs, because it's just a reflection of both of them on both sides, and see if you will not be known globally.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Okay. As Dr. Njenga also mentioned, and I quote, as wonderful and important as it is for universities to be visible globally, it is imperative that universities, as cities on a hill, as thought leaders, potentially as harbingers of knowledge and research, be seen to impact their home turf, communities, nations, and the continent eminently. What do you make of Dr. Njenga's last words?
I think I really made that point clearly in the fact that we have a responsibility as higher education institutions. We are, she actually used that idiom, we are cities on a hill. We are actually of much expectations because we have what it takes, the resources, the knowledge. So we are the ones who are meant to transform societies. So if your country, if your continent is not doing well, blame your institutions. So I think if we are not doing economically, education-wise, health-wise, we channel the blame to our institutions because they are the towers of excellence, the hill of tranquility. They are the place we all look up to for knowledge. So if we are not doing well, it's their fault. And it all boils down on the fact that we must be impactful locally, and globally we'll be seen. I think it ends right there.
Right.
I would say there's a biblical quote I love, which says that you first take the plague out of your own eye, and then when you clearly see, you can take out the speck from your brother's eye.
Sure.
I think what Njenga is trying to say or is trying to do is to encourage all of us to make a conscious effort to address our problems first, and by so doing we can impact the world at large.
Right.
Okay, so health news is up next. In our health news, children exposed to elevated levels of air pollution may be more likely to have poor inhibitory control during late childhood and poor academic skills in early adolescence, including spelling, reading comprehension, and math skills. Children exposed to elevated level of air pollution may be more likely to have poor inhibitory control during late childhood and poor academic skills in early adolescence, including spelling, reading comprehension, and math skills. Difficulty with inhibition in late childhood was found to be a precursor of later air pollution-related academic problems. Interventions that target inhibitory control might improve outcomes. Results by researchers shows that children with poor inhibitory control are less able to override a common response in favor of a more unusual one, such as the natural response to say up when an arrow is facing up, or go when a light is green, says First Alter Almi Margulis, Associate Professor of Medical Psychology in the Department of Psychiatry at Columbia University Medical Center. By compromising childhood inhibitory control, prenatal exposure to air pollution may alter the foundation upon which later academic skills are built. When evaluating students' learning problems and formulating treatment plans, parents and teachers should consider that academic problems related to environmental exposure may require intervention focused on inhibitory control problems rather than on content-related skills, as is typical in interventions designed to address learning disabilities, Margulis added. This study adds to a growing body of literature showing the deleterious health effects and prenatal exposure to air pollution on child health outcomes, including academic achievements. Reducing these levels of air pollution may prevent these adverse outcomes and lead to improvements in children's academic achievements. That is an interesting story right there, seeing that air pollution exposure is linked to the poor academics in a child. But I would want to ask, what do you think about the study, and how do you think air pollution can affect a child's academics or intelligence?
Yeah, Jemima, you know, as baffled as you are, I'm also baffled on this study, because I'm looking at these two variables, air pollution and poor academics in childhood, which perhaps I think they are far apart, because if we had a psychologist here with us, or a neurosurgeon here with us, and they could tell us perhaps the relationship between air pollution and how it can affect one's ability to be smart or perhaps be academically good. But I'll take it on a literal note, because I can't really dig deep with the scientific eyes. But literally, I would compare the Western world, which is industrial intensive, to our continent, which is not so industrial intensive, and see the kind of people we see on these hands. We see some kind of smart people perhaps living in China and the US, or the UK, Germany, because of their vocational ability, their R&D strength. They're able to perhaps invent so many things. The first computer, the first telephone, all these things perhaps were invented up there. Quite innovative areas to be in. But now, and also these areas are industrial intensive. There's so many industries over there, and you can bet that hydrocarbons and other chlorofluorocarbons are exposed into the atmosphere. And these children all grew up to this environment. But today, they are the ones bringing in all this creativity, and we are just picking up as third movers or even laggards.
When you say it won't
so then,
affect.
the study here, this medical study perhaps, makes me want to look at it with my eyebrows raised. What are we talking about here? But it's a study which is open for more feeds and more research. Perhaps the environments they did the study, and perhaps the sample they used give them that result that was perhaps in a sick. But in the African continent, it may vary. I think we should have also a similar one in the African continent, see how air pollution goes a long way to affect academics of childhood. I can't really talk more about that.
I would second the finding, because I think we all know what air pollution can do to our health. Air pollution is very detrimental to our health. So if there's a finding that is saying it affects the intelligence of children, obviously it is true. To me, it is true, because when you compare kids in the cities, like the urban areas, to the students that are in the rural areas with industries set up there, you tend to find that the people in the urban areas are more smarter than the people in the rural areas. So you can link that to what this finding is saying. Yes.
But the industries are in the urban areas.
Yeah,
so
some industries are also, they are in the urban areas, but not with us, with the society. They are not many in the society. They are mostly far away from the society. But when you go to the villages, there are just a few people, because a lot of people have migrated to the cities, and so they don't really consider the human factor, the people living in the society, in the area. So they just set up the industry and then do whatever they want to. But they don't really factor the air pollution that is going to cause the people around. And if we have kids there, this finding is saying that it will affect their health. And I think it is very, very true.
Notwithstanding, Naomi, I made my submission based on the fact that in health science, air pollution, or let's say contaminated air, that enters the body, goes to one place and destroys, we know the area, the lungs.
Yes.
So if perhaps you have passerby smokers, or let's say vehicle exhaust fumes, or emissions, bad emissions, or any gas like chlorofluorocarbons or hydrocarbons, which are not good for the body, goes to affect your diaphragm, your lungs, and perhaps can give you so many complications.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What we know medically is that, but we do not know how it can, or where exactly in the brain it can really affect your inhibitory control, that you may not be able to become a smart kid, or let's say a good kid academically. That is where I'm just questioning the whole thing. So I'm basing my submission on the fact that we already know what these bad gases do to the human body and where they affect. But for the head, that is where we're able to recollect. I don't know what exactly goes wrong there, but I think the study is open for more debate and more findings to see if it's really the case. But I know that air pollution is a big endangerment to mankind and livelihood, but to the brain I have no idea.
Okay. Let me add that I read somewhere that smokers, we all know that smokers tend to have a lot of health conditions, health problems, because you're putting in some gases or whatever that is destroying your health.
Exactly.
Let's compare that to this research. Smoking, we all know that it is a bad thing to do, especially taking in the gas. So if there is air pollution, obviously it will affect the quality of the oxygen that you breathe in.
Exactly.
So if they're saying it will affect the child's intelligence, the child's smartness, I think they are right.
Well,
I think they are right.
So it's her thought.
I think they are right.
It's her thought. So moving on, a recent study suggests aerobic exercise such as swimming can boost kids' vocabulary growth. A recent study by University of Delaware researchers suggests exercise can boost kids' vocabulary growth. These details one of the first study on the effect of exercise on vocabulary learning in children. Children ages 6 to 12 were taught new words before doing one of the three things: swimming, taking part in CrossFit exercises, or completing a coloring sheet. The children who swam were 13% more accurate in follow-up test of the vocabulary words. It makes sense to the lead researcher, Mandy Brute, herself a former college swimmer who now regularly takes CrossFit classes. Motor movement helps in encoding new words, she said, explaining that exercise is known to increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein Brute described as the miracle grow of the brain. Why then does swimming make a difference whilst CrossFit did not? Brute attributes it to the amount of energy each exercise demands of the brain. Swimming is an activity that kids could complete without much thought or instruction. It was more of automatic. While the CrossFit exercise were new to them, the children needed to learn the moves, which requires mental. This is an amazing story, but I would want to ask, first of all, do we think it's possible, looking at exercise, boosting the kids' vocabulary growth?
I think it's true. I think it's a very, very valid point, because I'll make my point very, very brief. Looking at students even in Ghana here, looking at students from the international schools, comparing students from international schools to students in our government or public institutions, you tend to find that there's a very vast difference between the two.
Okay.
They do a lot of exercise. You know, swimming is more of stretching your body and all of that. It will definitely affect your mentality or your mental growth. Okay. So if you are not doing that, if you are in a government school and you are not doing that, obviously you'll be lacking something.
But you know, those in the government schools actually also
I bet you differ.
sometimes
No, I bet,
exercise.
Yes,
I bet
I'm
you differ
saying they tend to be.
You
That's
know,
why.
the funny thing is that you go to a government school, a public school right now, okay, and you find on the field there are so many children running up and down,
Yes.
up and down, playing football and that. I think those are the games.
I understand you,
Is it
but
exercise?
yes, but this one they were talking about the swimming.
No,
If you're comparing,
I think the study just brought in swimming as
Yeah.
let me see. That is a much more.
well, there are a lot of exercises, but there are some exercises that target certain parts of your body. So I think with the swimming, if they are saying swimming, I think the swimming actually does something.
Well, you know, I know. According to the study, Mandy Pruitt made a point that with the two samples of students, the ones who were into CrossFit exercise and the ones who were doing swimming,
Okay.
those who were doing exercise perhaps were not able to grab their vocabulary in because with the exercise, you tell them the instruction, they don't even know how to
Exactly.
even understand, so they weren't able to retain it. But with the swimming, because it was quite an open range,
Right.
you swim the way you want to swim.
Right.
So you were able to attract or to let's say
Exactly.
retain all the instructions that were given to you over there. I mean, do we have other sports or other exercises that allows one to feel free and be more diversified?
Maybe running.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many things.
Running is quite, free. You don't need any, just that you need a length to go to, but you don't need any instruction
Guidance
or how to
yes.
run or how to
Yeah,
jump.
I mean,
or,
so in a CrossFit exercise, if I tell you, everybody put your hands up and one leg up, it is so instructional and
Yes.
cause you to
Think.
gives you more, requires more energy from the brain or more demand from the brain. But with swimming, you know that it's just throw your hands forward just for you to get to your destination. How you get there, you don't know.
And I even think, the swimming, water itself on the body, that alone gives you another feeling. I think, affects
Yes.
your brain to relax. Because I know friends who swim a lot and they always say, swimming actually makes them relax. The water on you, it causes your
Yes.
brain to actually
Yes.
relaxes your brain. So I think swimming and other exercises, I won't link it to swimming alone, also helps to, boost a child's
And
vocabulary.
let me add quickly that when in swimming you are in water, even in as much as you may think that you are not really applying your wisdom or whatever, but you still have to calculate.
conscious,
You still have to calculate everything that you do. But on the field, you are standing. If you run, you are running. But swimming, you may just dive into the water and you would have to know how to control yourself, bring yourself up. So it involves a lot.
I don't just sign up for a swimming class.
I know.
She knows the calculation for that.
I know. So don't go anywhere as we bring you science and technology news after the short break.
Welcome to GTP Health and Safety Corner. If you feel like stepping out, remember social distancing. You might just save a life. Rock at home, stay at home, stay safe. Wash your hands with soap under running water. Spaced out but still in touch. Check in on your loved ones and stay safe. GTP, timeless.
You're welcome back. Solar Taxi, a revolutionary technological initiative started by Kumasi Hive through a partnership with MasterCard Foundation, is contributing to alleviating poverty and creating employment through opportunities for young people while protecting the environment by leveraging on energy harnessed from the sun to drive solar-powered vehicles. Electric vehicles help keep our world clean and play an important part in meeting global goals on climate change. In general, electric vehicles produce fewer emissions that contribute to climate change and smog than conventional vehicles.
Solar Taxi, an initiative started by Kumasi Hive through a partnership with MasterCard Foundation, is contributing to alleviating poverty and creating employment opportunities for young people while protecting the environment by leveraging on energy harnessed from the sun to drive solar-powered vehicles. The startup, which was launched in September 2018, provides locally assembled solar-powered electric motorcycles, tricycles, and cars, as well as access to charging stations. These vehicles can be charged using the conventional electricity from the national grid, but because of the unreliable nature of electricity in Africa, a solar hub has been designed locally to replace the power provided by the national grid. The solar hubs can be located in 4 major cities across Ghana. This, in the long run, goes with the company's goal of increasing the use of renewable energy. By leveraging the energy from the sun and innovativeness of the shared economy, the company believes electric vehicles will reduce carbon emissions, cost of delivery, and transport services to individuals and businesses. Solar Taxi Ghana aims to explore avenues closer to technology and hardware to equip women with skills in emerging technologies, which will further stimulate their interest in renewable energy. These opportunities will provide young women with unique training experience and a budding network of like-minded individuals pursuing social change through innovation.
So there we have a very incredible story with Solar Taxi here in Ghana. And I mean, team, what do you think about this in terms of the effect, the impact Solar Taxi is making, ensuring that the use of renewable energy and also in employment? So what's your view?
Okay, I think that this is a very commendable one, especially for the fact that we have a lot of women in this doing this work. It is, I'll make my points brief, it is actually promoting decent work and economic growth, which is the SDG Goal 8, yes. And it is also helping in the promotion of the Goal 7, which is affordable and clean energy, because we all know that solar is a renewable energy, and if it is promoting that, we are also promoting the attainment of the SDG Goal 7, so it is a commendable one.
Splendid.
Yeah.
How about you, Jemima?
You know, the environmental, I would say the Environment Protection Agency, which is the EPA, makes us understand that climate change is caused by the release of greenhouse gases, sure, such as the carbon dioxide. And they further mentioned that a vehicle produces 4.6 metric tons of carbon dioxide per year, true, which is a lot, true, as we know. True. So if we have more of this innovative electric vehicles coming in, I think it's going to cut down our pollution even more than half, which will actually help in our environment, which won't cause a lot of air pollution in our society. So I think it's a good one.
The splendid one.
Sure.
In wrapping up the news this morning, let's take a quick recap of our headlines. Universities need policies for knowledge management. Afrocentric Sustainabilty Index mooted to measure SDG goals.
And in our health news, air pollution exposure linked to poor academics in childhood. And also exercise may boost kids' vocabulary growth.
And in our tech news, a Ghanaian company provides solar-powered transportation service here in Ghana. We're glad you made time to watch us on the AAU TV Midweek News, and we're glad we'll bring you more news next time. Be safe and take care.